In small Millstone County in rural Kansas, life followed its usual slow, predictable pace. There, amid cornfields that stretched as far as the eye could see, lived Ethan Carter, an 18-year-old with a dream too big for the borders of his hometown. Ever since he was 10, when he first saw an NFL game on the secondhand television in his grandfather's house, Ethan knew he wanted to be a professional player. The brightness of the Super Bowl lights and the deafening sound of the crowd occupied his thoughts every night before bed. Ethan was the son of Mary, a nurse who worked long hours at the small local hospital, and Hank, a mechanic who could barely keep his shop running. His family lived with difficulty, but there was no lack of love in their home. Despite the difficulties, Ethan grew up determined and resilient, qualities he inherited from his parents. However, his reality always felt more like an obstacle than a stepping stone to his dreams. At school, Ethan was the star of the Millstone Broncos football team. With his impressive speed and ability to anticipate plays, he stood out as a running back. His coach, Mike Gallagher, saw raw talent in him and believed in his potential. "You can go far, kid, but you have to want it more than everyone else," Gallagher would say after every game. But there was more at stake than just talent. Ethan had to deal with the family's financial pressures. Hank had suffered a back injury years earlier, and despite continuing to work, his health was no longer the same. Mary did her best to support the house, but the bills piled up. Ethan knew his family was counting on him to turn their lives around. His best friend Noah was his safe haven. Noah was a spirited and loyal boy who dreamed of being a sports journalist. He encouraged Ethan to continue pursuing his dreams, even when reality seemed overwhelming. "It's a big world out there, Ethan. You weren't born to be stuck here in Millstone," said Noah, always with a camera in hand, filming Ethan's games and training to create a portfolio that could attract the attention of scouts. But it wasn't just Noah who believed in him. There was Sarah, his girlfriend since high school, whose kindness and intelligence were a constant source of inspiration for Ethan. Sarah dreamed of becoming a doctor and also faced financial challenges in attending university. She always said, "If you don't believe in yourself, Ethan, believe in me. I see what you can do." Despite all the support, there were also those who doubted him. Jake Harper, a teammate and son of the mayor, often made a point of reminding Ethan of his limitations. "Do you really think you can get out of Millstone? Boys like you don't get far," Jake said dismissively. Those words, although hurtful, only fueled the fire inside Ethan. The biggest challenge came when Ethan received a letter informing him that he had been accepted into an NFL recruiting camp in Dallas. It was the chance of a lifetime, but the cost of travel and accommodation was too high for his family. Determined not to give up, Ethan began working after high school at Hank's auto shop and on weekends at a local farm, scraping together every penny he could. Noah and Sarah also helped. Noah organized an online fundraiser, while Sarah held raffles around town. Little by little, the community, driven by the hope of seeing one of their children triumph, began to contribute. Even a reluctant Jake Harper ended up donating after seeing Ethan's efforts. On the day of his departure for Dallas, the bus station was packed with friends, family, and neighbors. Mary hugged Ethan tightly, hiding her tears. "Remember, son, no matter where you end up, we'll always be here rooting for you." The camp was everything Ethan had hoped for and more. He faced stronger and more experienced players, but his determination and skill caught the attention of the coaches. Despite muscle pain and exhaustion, Ethan did his best, showing that even though he came from a small place, his heart was big enough for any challenge. Later in the week, Ethan was approached by a scout from the University of Texas who offered him a partial scholarship to play football. It was a step towards his dream. Although there was still a long way to go, Ethan knew this was just the beginning of his journey. Back at Millstone, he was given a hero's welcome. For Noah, Sarah, Mary, and Hank, Ethan's victory was proof that, with faith and effort, even the most unlikely dreams can come true. And for Ethan, it was confirmation that even though he came from a small place, he had within him everything he needed to conquer the world. After recruiting camp, Ethan returned to Millstone with a divided heart. Despite giving his best, he was not immediately selected by any university or team. The University of Texas scout, although impressed, explained that Ethan would need more experience to reach the level required for a full scholarship. It didn't completely shake him, but the reality was harsh. He needed to find a balance between working to help his family and continuing to pursue his dream. Ethan began working in his father's workshop, taking on most of the heavy lifting while Hank took care of the administrative side. The mornings were dedicated to work and the afternoons to training. Even without the resources of a professional gym, Ethan improvised using tires, tools, and even sandbags to maintain his physical shape. With Noah's encouragement, Ethan began playing in a local semi-pro league. The games were small, usually held on community fields, but the competitiveness was intense. Noah was always there, filming his plays and sending the videos to different scouts and universities. Sarah, in turn, helped Ethan organize his routine and never let him lose motivation. During that year, Ethan faced difficult defeats and moments of doubt. On many nights, he wondered if all the effort would be worth it. But whenever he thought about giving up, he remembered Gallagher's words, "You have to want it more than everyone else." This pushed him to continue. Finally, during a decisive game in the semi-professional league, Ethan gave an extraordinary performance. He ran for over 200 yards and scored 3 touchdowns, leading his team to an impressive victory. Little did he know that in the audience was an NFL scout sent to watch another player, but who ended up being impressed with Ethan's performance. After the game, the scout came over and handed over his card. "You've got something special, kid. Keep it up and we'll have a more serious talk soon." That moment renewed hope for Ethan and everyone around him. He knew that the path would still be arduous, but for the first time, he felt that he was on the radar of great opportunities. A few months later, the big opportunity finally arrived. Ethan received an acceptance letter from Central Kansas University, a small institution with a respectable football program. They offered him a partial scholarship with the possibility of extending the benefit if he stood out on the team. For Ethan, that was all he needed. Finally, he was taking a concrete step towards his dream. The news was celebrated in Millstone as a historic event. Noah organized a small party at Hank's workshop, bringing together friends, family, and colleagues. Sarah, excited, gave Ethan a football-shaped keychain with the phrase engraved on it, "Never stop dreaming." Ethan, visibly moved, promised everyone that he would honor that opportunity with all his heart. Upon arriving at university, Ethan felt the weight of being away from home for the first time. The campus was bigger than anything he had ever seen, and the training was exhausting. However, he quickly earned the respect of his teammates and head coach Robert Mason, who saw even greater potential in Ethan than reports indicated. Among his new colleagues, 3 characters who would become fundamental to Ethan's journey stood out. Malik, a veteran wide receiver with a troubled past, but who became a mentor for newcomers. Ryan, a big, friendly lineman who always knew how to ease tension with his humor. And Derek, a quiet, strategic quarterback whose perfectionism often put him at odds with others, but who recognized Ethan's talent early on. Ethan balanced training and studying, but never forgot his roots. He spoke to Noah and Sarah almost every day, sharing stories and receiving words of encouragement. During non-game weekends, he worked part-time on campus to supplement his scholarship and send some money to help his family in Millstone. The first semester was challenging. Ethan faced much more experienced and tougher opponents than he was used to, but he never lost his determination. Little by little, he began to stand out on the field, earning his place in the starting team. Each game was a new opportunity to show that he deserved to be there, and Ethan took advantage of every moment to prove that his dreams were bigger than any obstacle. Recognition for Ethan's efforts came in a particularly important game against one of the university's biggest rivals, the Missouri Falcons. During the second quarter, Ethan's team was at a disadvantage, but he managed to turn the game around with a 65-yard touchdown run, sending the crowd into a frenzy. His performance was so impressive that it caught the attention of local reporters, who began mentioning his name in regional sports articles. At the same time, the friendships that Ethan cultivated with his teammates began to grow. Malik became a big brother of sorts to him, sharing stories about the challenges he faced, trying to balance his sport and personal life. Ryan was always the first to help Ethan in training, using his size to simulate the toughest opponents. And Derek, despite his seriousness, trusted Ethan more and more, so much so that he started to include the running back in risky plays that required coordination and precision. Off the field, Ethan began to excel in class. Although football was his priority, he knew that academic success was essential to maintaining his scholarship. With the help of Sarah, who sent summaries and tips to make his studies easier, and Noah, who proofread his work when possible, Ethan managed to maintain respectable grades, proving that he could also shine outside of sport. Each week, the connection between Ethan and his hometown grew stronger. Mary and Hank did their best to watch the games online, while Noah shared videos and updates about Ethan's accomplishments on social media, increasing Millstone's pride in their young prodigy. Even Jake Harper, who had looked down on him in the past, sent a message congratulating Ethan on his dedication, admitting he was wrong about him. As time went on, Ethan continued to grow on and off the field. Each season brought new challenges, but also new learning opportunities. During his sophomore year, he faced an ankle injury that nearly took him out of the season. But with the support of Malik and Coach Mason, he was able to recover and come back even stronger. The experience of being out of games taught him to value every moment on the field and to be more strategic in his movements. By his third year, Ethan was already a key part of the team and a natural leader for the newcomers. His work ethic and humility earned him the respect of everyone around him. Sarah and Noah continued to be pillars in his life, with Sarah always encouraging him to stay focused on his studies, and Noah working hard to turn Ethan's videos into a truly standout portfolio. It was also during this period that Ethan began to be noticed by coaches of minor NFL teams. Although the main scouts hadn't reached out yet, he knew his name was starting to circulate in the right circles. Every game was an opportunity to impress, and Ethan made the most of it. However, at the end of his university journey, the big news he was waiting for didn't arrive. Despite being invited to participate in a regional combine, his performance was not enough to secure a spot in the NFL's main draft. Ethan was devastated, but he didn't let the disappointment bring him down completely. He knew he still had a lot to offer, and that this was just another hurdle to overcome on his path to success. He was determined to continue training and playing in minor leagues, with the aim of proving to everyone, once again, that big dreams require unwavering perseverance. Ethan's story wasn't finished yet. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. Determined not to give up, Ethan returned to Millstone and resumed his routine work as a mechanic in Hank's shop. Even with the weight of disappointment, he maintained discipline and trained every night after work. His determination was so evident that Malik and Ryan, his friends from university, often called to encourage him, reminding him that his talent could not be wasted. In addition to nighttime training, Ethan signed up for an amateur league in the region. Although he didn't have the same visibility as big universities, the competition was fierce, and the games allowed him to continue showing his value. Noah, as always, was there to record every play, editing videos to send to any contact who could help. 6 months after returning to Millstone, Ethan had his turning point. During a decisive amateur league game, he gave a spectacular performance, scoring 3 touchdowns and demonstrating impressive explosiveness and game vision. In the stands, by chance, was a scout from the Kansas City Chiefs team who had come to watch another player but couldn't take his eyes off Ethan. After the game, the scout came over and, with a smile, handed over his card. "Kid, you've got something special. We have an injured player and we need someone for an immediate test. This is your moment." Ethan could hardly believe it. It was the chance he had always dreamed of. He notified his family, Noah and Sarah, who celebrated as if he had already signed a contract. "It's just the beginning, Ethan. Show who you are," Sarah said, her eyes shining with pride. The following week, Ethan flew to Kansas City to participate in test training. The pressure was immense, but he channeled all the years of hard work and focused on what he did best. During training, he impressed coaches with his agility, strength, and most importantly, his work ethic. "This kid came to fight," commented one of the assistant coaches. And then the unexpected happened. With his performance in the test, Ethan was called to sign a temporary contract with the team, replacing the starting running back who had suffered a serious injury. For Ethan, that contract meant more than just an opportunity. It was the fulfillment of everything he had worked for. On the day of his official NFL debut, excitement took over everyone in Millstone. Mary and Hank sat in the small living room, watching the game on television, while Noah broadcast the moment live to the entire local community. Sarah, sitting next to Mary, held her hand tightly as Ethan's name echoed over the stadium speakers. When Ethan took the field for the first time, his heart was beating so loud it seemed like everyone could hear it. But as soon as the first play started, he focused and did what he always knew how to do. In his debut, he ran for 78 yards and scored a touchdown that sealed the team's victory. The crowd went wild, and the commentators started talking about the young unknown who had emerged so promisingly. After the game, Ethan was interviewed and moved. He dedicated the moment to his family, friends, and the Millstone community. "I wouldn't be here without them. Every sacrifice, every night of training, it was all worth it." And just like that, Ethan Carter became a name to watch in the NFL, proving that with determination and support, even the most unlikely dreams can become reality. Thank you for watching this video. For more exciting stories like this, subscribe to the channel and share this story with your friends who have a dream in the sports world. The challenges are countless, but if you persevere until the end, your chance will come when you least expect it.